Welcome to a Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav, and my pronouns are they, them.
And my name's Harmit, and my pronouns are Hershey, like the chocolate.
And this is A Storm of Swords, chapters 8 and 9, Dany and Branny. In these chapters,
George R. R. Martin ships Dany and Jorah, and Bran is, and Bran chooses the crow. Can you tell which one took me more effort?
welcome to the podcast, everyone. We're here. We're there. We're every fucking where. Oh, I can't. Sorry.
Children's nursery rhymes.
Well, that is particularly from Ted Lasso, which is a fantastic show.
Oh.
You wouldn't know anything about that because you don't watch fantastic shows.
Yeah, I wouldn't, unfortunately.
So, Harmith, what did you think of these chapters?
A little, yeah, they were okay. They were a little disturbing, but Bran's was okay.
Yeah. Other than the very end of Dany's, what about the rest of it?
It was just kind of like, I feel like George R. R. Martin is very aware every book and every time we see Dany, how rarely we see her. So every time he just like tells us things that even I remember, and that's like saying something. So I feel like so much of the chapter was just him being like, this is Jorah, her right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
And he like incorporates this into her thoughts. And I'm like, okay, we can move on. So like nothing really happened, but it was fine.
We did a lot of talking. Okay, so did anybody die in these chapters?
I really don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Other than Bran's dreams of eating some deer, everything else is yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so summary. Mesmerizing. What was it? I used to say that a lot. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was mesmerizing or something.
Because it was mesmerizing, summarizing.
you know, Nav. I don't know why we call it summarizing when winter's coming.
So should we winterizing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, why don't you winterize us these chapters in
sure
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, they're on the ship. Dany's like, oh, I have all these people. Dothraki are kind of dealing with it. And then Jorah pretty much the entire chapter is like, I don't trust these people. And she's talking to the Belwas or the other... She's talking to the squire, Whitebeard dude, and like, she's learning about like her brother and like all this fun stuff. And then at the end, Jorah's like, we have this plan to see if they're actually loyal or if they're just Illyrio. Bran is in a random tower that's not really a tower, and he's with Jojen and Mira and Hodor, and he's in a dream, and he's like doesn't want to leave the dream, and he's like this has become his whole personality now, and they're like, this is dangerous, this is like terrible, you're not eating. And then Jojen's like, we need to take you to the crow so that he can teach you and you can actually develop this potential that you have and like be this like amazing like flying creature.
I think that's like, a minute. And you think when he says be a flying creature, does he mean like an actual flying creature?
No. No. Most of the time in the summaries, I'm like recalling the exact words, but there's not enough time for me to translate.
Into
so sometimes I'll just
people language.
Yeah, I'll just be like, oh yeah, he wants him to fly, but like it's just like that's what I'm remembering from the page.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. We're tired. We really should not do morning recordings.
Yeah.
Although it's afternoon now.
Yeah, so maybe it's just enough. It's okay. We're not tired. We're fine. Let's go. Let's vibe. Let's jive. Do hive. I needed a rhyme.
Hive.
Or else it would be a crime. I got it just in time.
Are you done
Yeah,
now?
let's continue. Yes, I'm done. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so Dany, you go.
Okay,
And if you don't put me to sleep, maybe I'll jump in.
Okay, the most pleasant chapter. Okay, Dany is vibing. Dany loves the sea. She says specifically that, like, she's as happy as she could ever remember being. And, I mean, we've seen her life so far, so I believe it. And she's just, like, she's at sea. It's a vibe. And the Dothraki are very hesitant about this water. They're kind of like, okay, like, I guess we have to be here because our, like she's commanding it, but like I hate it here.
Yeah, they're willing to risk it for her, but they're still not happy about it or comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Most of them are like, you know, they've locked themselves underboard. What is that what it's called? What's ship? What terminology?
I don't know.
Like in the bottom
really
part
know.
of the ship where they can't see the sea, see the sea,
Yeah.
see.
Yes. They're like, oh, we're just on something that moves every 2 seconds and I can hear the waves, but it's fine. It's not water. They're like trying to ignore the fact that they're on
like, this is
sea.
just a pre-modern roller coaster.
No, exactly, yeah. And she's kind of like just describing the scenery to us. And then at one point she's thinking about Viserys and she's like, you know, he was pretty terrible, but I miss him. Like, I miss those random times.
Terrible, yeah.
Yeah, those, like, literally 1 in a million. Like, I'm like, what? Like, even his sister, this is the most she can say for him.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a great dude, so makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And then she has an interaction with the captain, who's called Captain Grolio.
Brolio,
and he was... Oh, yes, whatever.
No, that's me, just...
Okay. Like, is it actually Rolio?
No, I said Brolio. like a Brolio.
Bro, that's funny. Okay, yes. Anyway, Captain Brolio was very much like, dude, dragons? You trying to, like, light my ship on fire? Like, can you not?
Yeah.
But
so they'd initially, like, caged them, but
yes, they
were miserable. So Dany changes her mind and they, like, now... roam free, but like that's not a big deal because like they haven't really had many fire. Like they had one tiny fire that they were able to.
They haven't had many fires. That's the bar now for fire safety. It's
exactly.
Like, oh, there's not
just
many
one
fires.
small fire. But like
exactly.
you know, the dragons are free and they're playing in the water and they hunt for themselves and like all that stuff. And she's
describing like her 3. She's like they kind of have personalities now. Like they're not just now. We can no longer be like, oh yeah, her 3 dragons. Like now, like Viserion is like cream, and then like Rhaegal is like green. But they're that rhymes. But they're both like very like they kind of like play fight with each other, and they're very competitive. It's giving like brothers who are like the same age or like a year apart.
Well, they were hatched at the same time, so
that's true. I guess they're triplets, but in a weird way.
We don't know if they come from the same dragon, though. That's the thing.
Oh,
we don't know like the origin of the eggs. We just know that like they hatched at the same time.
Okay, well they were born at the same hospital.
Okay, why do we have to put it in human terms at all?
I guess we don't have to. We don't have to. I think I just tend to do that.
You're so.
I'm
human-centric.
I'm anthropomorphizing. What's the word? You know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're talking, but it's too early for me to really think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never known how to say that word. Anyway, so Dany kind of mentions like dragons like to attack from above. So one of the ways they fight with each other is they'll try to like get higher, but then the other person is like. Yeah. Then the other person was like, you are not fucking doing that.
So
it's like a fun little
higher. Yeah.
Yeah, and for like a human looking on, they're kind of like, what the fuck? Like these dragons are gonna rip each other to shreds, but it's like that's like their play fighting, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Pop off, I guess.
And Drogon is the biggest one, and she even says like in another year or 2 he might be large enough to ride, which wow.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
but he's kind of so far ahead of them. He doesn't even like. He just goes and like hunts and does his own thing. Like he's not even arguing with them.
He's
He
the
like
cool
knows
older
he's
brother,
far above
like...
that. No, literally. Yeah. And then and then yeah. Oh, and then that's also cute because it's like Viserys and Rhaegar were brothers, and they're the ones that are kind of on equal footing,
hanging out, and then
Drogo's
is like a leader, and
yeah. It's a cute little vibe. But it seems that they've been here for this is the 7th day. She mentions very briefly. And then, but for all of those 7 days, like, the wind hasn't been on their side.
Yeah, this is not their 7th day, like, on the sea, but the 7th day having been stuck without any wind. And is it the galley or the cog, like, Balerion, that the main one that she's on, doesn't have any rowing capacity. So the other 2 ships, Vhagar and Meraxes, have to tow it, and they're like they're all really big ships, and they're also like really full, so it's really slow going.
Yeah. I can't swim, but I've gone to like friends' cabins and stuff before, and I'm the Balerion. I'm like,
they're towing
okay,
you
well,
out.
yeah, because it's like I can't just get out the water and like swim to shore. So I have to make sure that it like actually goes to shore before I get out. This like was very reminiscent of that. But yeah, they're like they continue talking about the dragons, and like they're talking about how like the dragons were like she's kind of like, oh yeah, they can be thousands of years old, right? But then what's his face? Jorah's kind of like, okay, but like they were bred for war, and like dragons like die in war. Like that's kind of
we don't
purpose.
really know like how long they can live, because usually they die before they like of like, not natural
the Targaryens
causes.
weren't like the Targaryens weren't like, let's do an experiment to see how long they can last. They were like, no, how can I use this dragon?
Yeah, and they're talking about like the size of dragons, and you know, there's some that say that like they can grow as large as, what was it? What
says a dragon never stops
growing.
Oh
yeah, Whitebeard saying that like a dragon never stops growing. And also he says that to keep growing, they need food and freedom. That like when the Targaryens put their dragons in like the dragon pit, they never grew to be really big because they were confined by the walls and the dome of the pit. So the freer they are, the larger they get.
Yeah, which it's like, is that like a...
It's kind of like some plants, you know how like plants will grow to expand to the size of their pot, and then unless you repot them into a bigger pot, they'll have to stay that size. But if you repot them, then they like get bigger. They can keep growing. Makes sense. That makes sense. We have a plant here. I don't know if you remember seeing it, but it's like really tall. And at our old house, it touched the ceiling, so it like stopped growing at that point. But now it has like more space to grow, so now it's growing again. So it's kind of like that.
Right, yeah. That's cool.
They'll grow to take up whatever space is allowed. So I wonder if there was no war, and if there was endless food, could a dragon become the size of a continent? Or, you know? I
mean, probably.
I think it's a little unrealistic, but yeah.
That's terrifying.
People could just be like, you know, cities would grow up with like sprout on the dragon's like back, and just because it'll be so large.
Yeah, literally. And during this conversation, Jorah's pretty much just like, I don't like this man, and you can tell.
Yes, okay, like, but I have a Cradle reference to make.
What's your Cradle reference?
Okay, in Cradle, there's this like creature that they come upon at one point, and it's like a flying lizard, and there's literally that people and houses that like buildings that are on the back of it just because it's so large.
Oh my god.
And that's anyway, read terrifying. Cradle, everybody.
That's so funny.
Okay, so yeah, Jorah hates Whitebeard because he's threatened by literally any other man in Dany's presence.
Literally, oh my god. And then Dany's kind of questioning Whitebeard about, like, her dad and, like, her brother, because she's like, I never met these people. Like, did you ever meet my dad? And
did you find him good and gentle? The Mad King, like Dany.
Yeah, and Whitebeard's kind of like, let's settle down. I think you know as well as I know that that's not a thing. And then she's kind of asking about Rhaegar, and he's kind of like, no one really knew Rhaegar. Like, he was kind of just, like, there, and, like, he was really great at what he did, but, like, he just didn't, like, get very close with people and stuff. And then she's kind of like, oh, he was, like, the only one who was as good as him was Arthur Dane, right? Like, no one else.
Yeah, nobody could compare. And, you know, Whitebeard's like, well, I don't know, like, because it's Viserys who's told her all these things, and he's like, it's not my place to question the words of a prince. But, and then Dany's like, oh, he was a king, even though he never reigned. And I'm like, Dany, you can let that part go. We can just say that, like, you know, the crown skipped a person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he's kind of just like, yeah, no, like it's so unknown. You could be, like, such a skilled fighter and you could still lose, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
how amazing he was.
Whitebeard kind of makes a reference to, like, you know, some people do really well in tourneys if they have, for example, lady's favor knotted around an arm, alluding to Jorah's story, and then to never do as well ever again, that kind of thing. And Jorah again is not happy because it's bringing up, you know, his past. So Arston tells us that that Rhaegar really was bookish. Like, he calls him bookish.
Yeah.
To a point where people were like, did your mom read a lot of books or eat a bunch of books when she was pregnant with you? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And it wasn't until, like, one day he read something that was like, it seems I must be a warrior.
Yeah.
Not even like, I want to, or like, this is like, this is a skill that I want to, like, prophecy? Question mark? Like, the Targaryen lineage will only survive if you become a warrior? Like, I don't know. Like,
what do you think? I think that's a good thought to have.
Yeah, it feels
I want to know
prophetic.
What he read.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but
yeah, so he reads it one day and then shows up in the yard and is like, hey, teach me now. And
yeah, and everyone's like, okay. And then he turns out to be this, like, great warrior. Like, okay.
Yeah, like, he was pretty good, so.
Yeah. Pop off, I guess. Best of both worlds. Intelligent and pretty king.
Pretty?
Or, not pretty, what am I saying? I don't know why I said pretty. Well, intelligent and, like, fighter king.
He was pretty, though, because, like, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said he was pretty. I'm sure other people will say it, too, later.
Okay.
I think the specific thing I'm thinking of actually hasn't come up yet, but he was, I don't know. I can tell you that he was pretty. That's fine.
Spoiler.
Yeah. So, Belwas comes in and Arston has to go attend to him. Belwas is just like, "Hey, you. I will eat now. Bring me food. You will bring food for strong Belwas." And I'm like, why don't we all talk like that? Just like, not even be like, bring me food, but like, you will bring me food.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, Jorah is not happy and is like, hey, you should, take his words with a grain of salt. And she says, well, I have to listen to everybody if I'm going to be queen. And Jorah says, well, I have something to say. And that something is that this Arston Whitebeard is playing you false. He is too old to be a squire and too well-spoken to be serving that oath of a eunuch. What do you think about his assessment? Do you think there's some merit to it, or?
Or
is he just jealous man?
I think I think right now he's just jealous, man.
Okay, so he's just kind of grasping at straws to just like...
Yeah. I think that he thinks it's actual concern. Like, he's convinced himself that he's, like, actually trying to do, like, what's best. But, like, really, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's hard for him to separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he believes it, and it's also hard for him to separate.
But you don't think it's, like, rooted in any actual evidence? You're not personally suspicious of Arstan?
I am suspicious of Arstan, but I'm not, like, he's too old to be a squire and too well-spoken to be serving that oath of a eunuch. Like I don't know if I agree with the specific assessment, but I do agree with his general, like,
there's something up.
Like, we can't just trust these people, like, for no reason.
Okay, let's talk about that. What do you think their deal is?
I mean, I don't think that they're gonna, like, I don't know. I don't see them, like, going out of line and, like, doing their own, I don't see them, like, going out of line and, like, doing their own thing. I think they're just kind of part of, at least right now, like, part of Illyrio's plan. That might change if Dany is successful in being like, let's go over here.
And are they lying about who they are, or are they...
Oh, who they are? I don't think they're lying about who they are.
Okay. Because that's what, like, you know.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's not a squire. He's
exactly.
Assassin.
Yeah, he's an assassin who can, you know, beat you with a stick or kill you with a stick or something.
Yeah, but, like, why can't he be both? You know, like I feel like he doesn't
can be
need
a
to,
squire,
like, there's no,
and right.
Like, he could be hired to kill you even if he's a squire, you know, like.
Right,
like, I just don't see why he would be faking his
like,
identity.
If he's so skilled, why is he still a squire?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's probably more it, because there's, like, I don't really know why even Jorah would think that he was hiding his identity.
No, just that he's more than a squire, you know?
Yeah, that
because like what's his name? Pod is a squire, right? So, like,
yeah,
you would think that if Pod were skilled and so old, he would have, like, either been knighted or something by now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So Dany's just like, okay, well, I need people to protect me, and they're offering me protection, so I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's
go ahead.
She's kind of just thinking about all of her past enemies.
Yep.
She's like, this happened with this person. This happened with this person. Wow, my life sucks.
Yep. Everybody's out to kill me.
And she's like, really? I got like the dragons. She says they were a wonder and a terror and beyond price. And she's like, even with that, like, I have to be even more careful.
Yeah.
Because, like, people are already out to kill me.
Now they want my dragons too, so.
Yeah, now they're, like, double out to kill me. At this point, we get the wind back.
Exactly, and so everybody's excited. They're like, yay, we can be on our way now. And... Yay.
Slay.
So they're, I think like later that night, Dany's hanging out with her dragons in her cabin and a couple of her handmaids when Jorah comes knocking and asks to talk to her in private, so she gets all her handmaids to leave. And also, I should mention, she is naked in this scene. Like, she's covered herself with, like, a sheet, but since she was, like, ready for bed, she wasn't, like, really expecting to be disturbed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she's teaching the dragons some commands, like Dracarys, which means dragon fire, I think.
Mm-hmm,
and so, like, saying that gets them to burn or, like, spew fire so that they can roast their own meat now.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's cute. Okay, so he says he has 3 things to say.
Yep.
That he's not sure about Belwas, Whitebeard, and Illyrio, who sent them. And Dany's like, oh, come on. Can we just, like, get over this? Like, why are we having this conversation over and over again?
No, literally.
Yeah, and he reminds her of the like prophecy that the Undying gave her of like a betrayal for blood, a betrayal for gold, and one for love. And she's like, yeah, well, Miri Mazdor was the first one. And he's like, yeah, that means you have 2 more left to go. And
I'm really starting to think that the one for love is gonna be Jorah.
oh, okay.
Just, like, especially with, like, what happens at the end of the chapter, I just feel like, because before, it really felt like he was able to, at least from our perspective, kind of separate, like, his duty from, like, this weird infatuation with this child. But now we're at a point where it feels like he's really not able to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So if there came a point between Dany getting the throne and Dany, like, being able to be with him, or, like, that sort of
it was
thing, like,
either or he would get in the way of her getting the throne. Because, like, even now, he's... Okay, so let's talk about what...
Like, even now, but I feel like before he wasn't. Like, before, it just felt more objective.
Right.
And he was kind of like, you know? And now it's like, yeah, he's still, like, obviously, like, he, from his perspective, he's, like, trying to be, like, oh no, there's genuine reasons you shouldn't just trust these people. But then at the same time, he's, like, fucking getting in the way and, like, not respecting
her authority and just,
her
like...
authority over him, like, everything.
Yeah.
So it's, like, now I'm just, like, he's the betrayal for love because he thinks he's in love with her.
And what about the betrayal for gold? Is that going to come before his betrayal for love, or...?
That feels like an Illyrio thing.
Okay, Illyrio is going to betray her for gold.
I don't remember
That's
what
he
before.
says. He's like, Illyrio loves gold, so he's going to betray you.
Right. Who did we say it was before when we were talking about this originally? Yeah, I don't remember either. We'd probably say... I honestly feel like we'd said something similar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not like we ever have any original thoughts, so...
Oh my god, yeah. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so he's like, yeah, these people have gained your trust and maybe they staged the whole assassin thing, you know, like, who even knows?
Did I say this before?
That it was all staged? No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you think that it might be the case?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be. I don't know. It could have been staged, for sure. Because it was just, like, it was so convenient. It was, like, at the exact moment that they, like, showed up and were, like, following them around. I don't know, though.
Yeah, maybe it's George R. R. Martin just being like, wasn't that awfully convenient for me to have written that because I needed it to go that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, well, I have a plan for you because right now you don't have people, and if you go to Illyrio, you'll be at his mercy. So why don't you test his loyalty to you as well as the loyalty of these people and the captain, and take your sweet time getting there and maybe pick up an army along the way. So he suggests that they go to Slaver's Bay and buy themselves a slave army of Unsullied. Who are, you know, slave soldiers, and they're famous for their defensive capabilities. And he tells the story of a city that was being attacked by a Dothraki horde, and there were 3,000 Unsullied soldiers that were outnumbered by, you know, thousands, and they still managed to defeat the horde. Yeah. So that's...
So they got a good / bad reputation.
Like, they got a good reputation for what they do, but yeah. So now, which I can't remember, what was the city?
Astapor.
No. The city that they protected. Qohor. That's the city that they, like, the tale is from. And even to this day, it's only protected by the Unsullied because, like, they're so effective. So,
right.
Yeah, but to get them, she would have to go to Astapor. So, yeah, she's like, actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Fine. that sounds like not a terrible idea. Like, she puts up like some counterpoints, like, because if they, so first off, how would she even buy the army? Because she has no money. And Jorah's like, well, these ships, just take them over and sell their goods. And also, so she's like, okay, fine, maybe I'll do that. And, since Illyrio's on my side, he should be okay with it. But then if we sell the ships, then we'll have to, march with the army to Pentos instead of sailing to Pentos. And that might be dangerous. And he's like, yeah, well, the sea can be dangerous too. So whatever. So yeah, I think in the end she decides, yes, I guess I will command the captain to go to Astapor instead.
Yeah.
And then so at this point, her like kind of covers like slip away and she's like exposed, and all of a sudden he's just like upon her and it's gross, and he like doesn't even give her a second to think, and it's just like, yeah, he kisses her, non-consensual, she's not into it, like it's all just horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. And he says,
and I hate the way that he wrote it, where he was like, one specific line got me, it was like, her mouth opened for his tongue, though she never told it to. And it's giving this weird, like, it's almost like he's trying to be like, oh, it's okay, because then
she eventually accepted it. Oh.
So it's like
it is gross.
It's like,
yeah.
And I'm like, why would you write that? Like, if you're gonna write in this Jorah being terrible, then make it about Jorah being terrible. Don't make it how Dany was okay with, like, this isn't, no.
Yeah.
Because then after, she's, like, trying to set boundaries, and it's his fault that he's not
even
accepting
like
them.
Even when she's also thinking, like, he shouldn't be doing this, I'm his queen, like, this is not okay. And she goes to say, like, you shouldn't have, and he says, I shouldn't have waited so long, and it's like, oh, gross, dude. No, so you've just been like by her side, just waiting for a chance to kiss her.
Yeah, it's disgusting, and it's just like, yeah,
and he
it just supports the culture of, like, if you wait long enough and you try hard enough, the person will eventually be okay with it. And it's like, that's not what we're trying to support here. Like, what are you doing, George R. R. Martin?
Yeah. Well, she's still not okay with it. Like, even though, like, that line, I agree, is, like, a little weird, like, what's going on there. Maybe it was, like, reflex and not, like, a conscious choice. I think it actually comes off as, like, definitely not a conscious choice. That's what she's saying. But he, like, goes on to be like, you're the most beautiful woman I have seen, Daenerys.
I know, but then I don't know if I agree with that, though, because then there's all these weird, like, his mouth is sweet, blah blah blah. It comes off as she's almost like
intrigued
she's debating,
by it.
She's intrigued by it, but then it's like she's like, oh, it's wrong. Like, it comes off as more of this, like, risky thing, and I don't like it.
Okay, I don't like it either. I don't want to talk about it right now.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's fair. It's disgusting.
Yes. So he calls her by her name, and she's like, you better walk that back, sir, because we're not doing this. And he has this man's ego. He says, the dragon has 3 heads, so that means you can take 2 husbands and take me to be one of them. Now that's like, when you were talking about, like, him getting, like, it was either getting in the way of her getting the throne. Yeah. This is that. Like, if she marries him, even if, like, she may believe and he may believe that she's, like, open to have another or more husbands, it's still not gonna be, like, not everybody's gonna agree to that. Like, she needs to keep her options open, because marriage, and also, like it or not, is, like, a very important tool in her arsenal in conquering this.
No, 100%. And like she doesn't have very many allies, so she can't just be out here, like you said, it's a
marrying
tool. She can't just marry anyone. Yeah, exactly.
Honestly,
marrying an exile.
Nobody. Yeah,
people literally like she's marrying a criminal in a place that she's trying to argue that she's the lawful heir of.
Mm-hmm.
So she can't do that by showing people that she's unlawful.
Yeah.
Like, you can't marry a criminal to prove that you're following the law and that you deserve to be in power.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
His whole thing. I just want somebody push him overboard. Like, it's fine.
No, literally. And it just, like, it bugs me so much. Because the entire page is, like, there's no, Dany doesn't like this. This is not okay. The entire page is like, oh, the only, like, it comes off as the only reason Dany isn't okay with it. Oh, that's disgusting.
I'm not saying that, like, I would.
She should like it.
Yeah, but, like, maybe she does. Maybe we'll hear about that.
Okay, I guess you're right. That's disturbing.
Like, we haven't really had a chance to, like, we don't get a chance to see her, deal with the consequences. I
know, but I guess, like, we have had those instances before where she's like, I'm his, like, he sees me as his, like, no longer his wife. Like, his ex-wife, that's the word. No longer his wife. He sees me as his ex-wife, like, blah, 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 blah. And it always just comes off as more of, like, a pity thing.
Right.
So hopefully this is still a pity thing. I don't know.
I'll say that we get more about, like, we get to see what's going on in her head a bit more, and we'll get into this conversation then.
I'm
just because,
so
like,
excited.
right now I don't want to, like, say anything to spoil, but then also I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay.
Jorah's horrible. And yeah.
Jorable, if you will.
No, that was horrible. Okay. Yeah. I think in this moment she's just concerned. She's concerned more about him kind of, like, not respecting her as his queen than about like the, I don't know, like, feeling like romantic whatever's relating to it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. let's move on before we gag. Okay, so will the captain turn the ship around or towards Astapor?
Yes.
Will Belwas and Whitebeard betray her?
Yes, but probably not right now. Question mark.
Okay. Will she get an army?
Will she get an army? She will get an army.
Will she be able to, pull up on Westeros after she gets the army? Like, are we gonna be soon on her way?
I don't think so, because she still has to go to Illyrio. She can't just go straight to Westeros with the beginning of an army.
Why not, though?
Because it's not enough people. Like, what's she gonna do with, like, 300 people?
300 people?
Isn't she just getting 300? Oh, no, that was the story. Wait, how many people is she getting?
I think the number Jorah threw out was, like, 1,000.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like she'll go to Illyrio first, because she does need that ally, right? Like, she's gonna need people who are able to, like,
will Illyrio betray her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can't think of anything else to ask. Yeah. Okay. Bran. So Bran and party are huddled up in a what does he call it? No, hang on. Bran's first having a dream as Summer. That's where we start. And he's hunting and he's fighting a pack of, like, regular wolves for some deer meat. And it's really exciting. And then he gets pulled to, himself, his own body. And he's very bitter about it because who wouldn't want to be a direwolf instead, right?
Yeah.
And while he's like in Summer's body, he has the thoughts of like his like siblings and how they're like far away, and even he says like the gray one with the wild eyes or something, like
yeah,
Shaggy Dog, he's also drifting farther and further every day.
You can feel him leaving, and it was so
sad. And he remembers his sister who died, and he says that his sister had left the wilds to walk in the halls of Manrock where other hunters ruled, and once within those halls it was hard to find the path back out, which is kind of also like true of Sansa, because she's like she wandered into like the King's Landing shit, and now like she can't find her way back home, and it was really sad. That's the only thing of note I have to say about that dream. So he gets brought back to Tumble Down Tower, as he's named it. It's just like this little, tumble down tower, and they're holed up in its cellar or in the vault. And it's a pretty sweet spot, like, generally speaking. Like, there's a lot of it's safe. Nobody really knows it's there. It's hidden because it basically looks just like a patch of moss from the outside. And Mira can find, according to her good game, like she comes back with fish and frogs and stuff because there's a bunch of streams around. So they're in a comfortable place where they could potentially wait out the war. But yeah, and Bran's like, it's not the like comfortable as in like they're still eating frogs, and Bran's not a fan of those, but like, they're not gonna starve. That's something.
Yeah.
So he's talking to Jojen, and Jojen's like, did you remember to mark the trees? Because Jojen's his like warg teacher, right? And he's trying to get Bran to take control when he's inside Summer instead of like letting Summer dominate. And Bran is just kind of like, he's like, I forgot. There's like better things to do than mark trees. Like, yeah, and Jojen's very concerned about like making sure he remembers who he is instead of just kind of like merging into Summer, which that's a valid concern, I guess.
Yeah,
we don't want to lose Bran as much as we love Summer.
Yeah,
and
yeah, and he just like, his self-esteem issues really come out in this chapter, because the entire time he's like, why would I want to be Bran while in Summer?
Yeah.
When I'm there to be Summer, because I don't like myself. And it's really sad, because this man is 9, like.
Yeah. But he's growing. He was 7 when we met him, and now he's 9. He's about to hit double digits.
That's so sad.
So Mira comes in, and she's got some fish and frogs, and they make a little stew with wild onions, and Bran's like, you know what, this isn't as bad as it could be. So
thanks, Mira.
And also everything seems better once you're well fed, when you're hungry, everything is terrible, but once you've eaten, things are more He's got a brighter outlook. And okay, so Jojen says that we gotta leave this place. We can't like stay here because people are, this is not where we're meant to be. Like there was literally a battle like at Winterfell. There's gonna be armies and soldiers and like people just around in the area. It's not safe to stick around. So we should get moving. And they discuss where they can go. They're like thinking about going to the Umbers or the Karstarks or even White Harbor, where the Manderleys are. And they're arguing about whether like they should buy horses or not. And, Mira's like, we'd be faster on horses. But Jojen makes a good point where he says that if they go to buy horses, people will know exactly who they are. And right now, people believe that Bran is dead. So that's like the biggest like safety thing he can have. Like as soon as people know he's alive, they're going to be back on the hunt trying to find him.
Yeah.
So Jojen's plan is to walk to the wall and beyond. And nobody's really happy about it, but like it's the only thing he can do. And they're like, but we don't even know where this like three-eyed crow is, like beyond the wall. Like where beyond the wall? How will we find him? And Jojen says,
like, he'll come to us.
Yeah, perhaps he will find us. Do you think he will?
I think they'll just know. I'm kind of on Jojen's side on this one. I'm like, they'll just feel the vibes, like,
Yeah. I mean, magic, right?
He'll have another dream of the crow, and he'll be like, oh, I saw that tree, that was right there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It'll be like a vision of the crow in a location, and then the location will be easily identifiable.
Okay, got it. So Bran's like, why would we do that? You can just teach me. Why do we need to find the three-eyed crow? But
Bran is like angry at Jojen this entire chapter, just slightly.
Yeah, he's like this little grandfather, as they call him, which is what old Nan named him, which is makes me think, what happened to old Nan? I hope she's okay.
Didn't we know that she died?
I don't know if we know she died.
I'm pretty sure it was confirmed that she died.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't confirmed she died. I would remember being like, we came upon her body.
Well, okay.
Either way. So, yeah. Hodor is training with his sword that they stole from the crypts, and he just like hacking a tree to bits, and it's fun. So they let him do it because they're pretty secluded. In terms of like Jojen teaching Bran, Jojen says that he's not a green seer. He only gets like green dreams, and that a green seer is much more powerful. He has this like whole thing.
They were wargs as well as you are, and the greatest of them could wear the skins of any beast that flies or swims or crawls, and could look through the eyes of the weirwoods as well, and see the truth that lies beneath the world.
Yeah.
Okay, Bran, you better get on that. You can't just be out here running.
Yeah, like imagine that power. Which, like, also, like, they could see through the eyes of the trees, which puts a whole other spin on the faces on the trees. And every time we come upon them, and if somebody, people are like, oh, that tree's totally watching me.
No, literally. I'm just like, what?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And so they're like, we gotta do it. Winter is coming, and you can't be bound to the earth by chains of stone. You gotta fly, Bran. And
yes, Bran.
The three-eyed crow is the only one that can teach you. And so they turn, Mira finally turns to Bran and is like, hey, listen, so we can stay here, or we can go to one of the other lords, but we don't know if they'll be alive because, like, there's a war happening, Like, we can't really count on anything. Or we can go to the three-eyed crow, but that's also taking a big risk. So, what do you want to do? We'll listen to what you say because you're our prince. Or she says, like, we'll listen to you what to do. Listen to you on this matter, not on every matter.
Oh my god.
So he like thinks about it, and he's like, yeah, well, if we go to one of my father's bannermen, like, we don't know if they'll still be around. And if we stay here, we would just be like, I would remain as I am. I wouldn't be able to fly or walk or run or any of the things. So he starts crying because he doesn't want to. This is a tough decision, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, the only place that might give me some hope is the three-eyed crow. So Jojen, take me to him.
Oh my god, finally. I've been saying this, I feels like for an entire book.
Which part?
I'm like, okay, they'll go to the three-eyed crow. They'll go to the three-eyed crow. They'll go to the three-eyed crow. And every time you were like, oh, so this is like an actual crow that they're gonna go to? Like you were trying to be like, oh, it's not an actual thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I do that for a lot of things. So they're gonna go to the crow now.
Seems like it. Hopefully.
Okay. Will they make it?
I mean, I'd like to say yes.
Will all of them make it? Maybe that's a better question.
Don't say that. Okay. Maybe like I feel like Hodor and Bran will make it.
Okay, but Mira and Jojen,
I don't know. They might not survive. Someone has to die. Like
someone has to die.
In these books, it's formulaic. It's like there's a certain amount of deaths that have to occur per a number of chapters.
No, the death density.
Death density. Yep.
Okay.
Deaths per chapters.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think we covered the main things. I'm sure we missed things. Whatever we missed, people tell us, you know?
I don't think we missed. I think we're just getting better at summarizing.
At
and
prioritizing, things.
Not dwelling on, oh my god, Viserion's green, but it's emerald green. Or, no, Viserion's the beige one, or cream, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Rhaegal is the green one. Okay, doesn't matter. See, we're dwelling now. We're so quick to do that. Okay, next chapters. We're reading 2. Give me your predictions. Have we checked in with everybody at least once?
I don't know if we have. Not Catelyn.
We literally Catelyn was the first chapter.
Oh, oops.
Or one of the very first chapters.
Oh,
remember when she was cooped up in River Run, talking to her dad?
Oh yeah, I got you.
So we've seen Jaime, Catelyn, Arya, Tyrion.
I think we've seen everyone once. Yeah,
Sansa,
Jon, Dany, Bran.
Yeah, there's no more.
Oh damn! None of them repeated. The last books, it would the first book was just
Well,
Ed,
we could potentially
else,
get
Ed,
a new one next time.
Oh my god, do we have any new ones so far? Davos,
Jaime.
Right?
No, Davos.
Wait, oh no,
was
we
the
had
new
Davos
last
time.
book.
Ignore me. Oh yeah, Jaime. Oh, then I don't think we'll. Oh well, last time we had Theon and Davos.
Yes.
Okay, it'll be new and Sansa.
New who or where?
Rob.
Rob's POV.
Yes.
We were having that conversation in Discord about reunions, and somebody said us and Rob need a reunion.
That was so funny. I was like, honestly, yes.
I haven't seen that guy in so long. Okay, so Rob and Sansa, cool. The power sibling duo.
Yep.
Let me see. Okay, so next time we're reading chapters 10 and 11, and chapter 10 is Davos.
Oh, our first repeat. Is Davos about to become the Ned Stark of this book? Okay, so Davos, oh yeah, he'd just gotten rescued by a Stan Man ship. So maybe we'll see Stannis and see what he's up to.
Okay. And chapter 11. Wow, I just yawned through all of that. Okay. And chapter 11 is Jaime. I had to double check.
Whoa. Jaime. Cool.
Jaime
is... What?
In Spanish, it would be pronounced Jaime.
Oh, that's funny. Jaime is, maybe someone else is trying to find them. More people are following them, and Jaime and Brienne are, things are happening.
So, on the roading it.
Yes.
With Jaime and Brienne and Cleos Frey. Remember?
He's insignificant.
Yeah. Will they make it?
Make it where?
Anywhere. Like, will they live to tell the tale of this adventure?
Hopefully.
Okay. All right.
I think so.
Well, I guess that's it for predictions then. Shout out to everybody who listened to us enough for us to be on your Spotify Wrapped. That was exciting.
God. That was so cool.
Honestly, even if we weren't on your Wrapped, just thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing with us. It's so much fun to be here. Yes. Anything to add?
Slay.
Okay.
That's the vibe of today's episode. Yeah, no, thank you
but
so
not
much
like
for
SLAY slay, SLEIGH slay.
Yes, because winter is here. In the book, winter's coming, but in us, in real life, at least in the northern hemisphere, winter is here.
Okay.
And okay, I went off track.
Yeah, let's wrap up because hunger is coming.
Hunger is here.
It's always here.
Thank you, everybody. Join
Discord.
Everything.
Yeah, link in the show notes. Follow us on Instagram at Pop Culture Symposium and send us an email, popculturesymposium@gmail.com. Until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.